5 stocks that if you'll invest in today that can make you a multimillionaire. Is this possible? Is it even feasible? Has it ever been done again? Yeah. If in 1998 you had had a vision of what the digital revolution was going to do over the next 30 years, if you had bought 7 stocks, put $10,000 into each of those 7 stocks, today you'd have $48 million. Yes, that $70,000 turned into $48 million. It's about to happen again. And how can it happen again? Basically, you have to be able to see what is going to happen before it happens. You need to recognize the event and the science that is going to make the world change, and then pick the people and the stocks that are going to make that change happen. Is that possible? You bet it is, and I believe I've done it, and I'm willing to share my knowledge and my experience with you.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
Okay, let's start with proof of concept. That is, I say it's happened before. Who are the stocks and how did it happen? Well, you would have bought Apple in 1982, Microsoft 87, Amazon 98, NVIDIA 2000, Google 2004, Facebook 2012, and Tesla 2020. And at the end of that time, your $10,000 in each of those stocks today would be worth $48 million. Does it require some visionary ability? Yes, it does. Is it driven by an event? Yes, it is. What was that event? The digital revolution. Was it evident? Yes. Was information as available then as it is now? No, it was not. It would have been a little bit more difficult to identify Bill Gates and Steve Jobs back in 1982 than it is to identify Emmanuel de Carpentier and Jennifer Doudna today. So, having that advantage, I then studied the basic change, the event, the coronavirus that is going to change the world we live in, identified the people that are going to make that possible and make our world different, and then invested in those stocks. Now, what I want to do is, again, prove this concept to you. I want to take you to my computer. I've created an Excel spreadsheet that will walk you through the development of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, Google, Facebook, and Tesla, and show you that if you had done this, you'd have that $48 million today. Then I'm going to take you and share with you the 5 stocks that I've identified that will duplicate this, taking their average of what they produced over that, and then projecting what that $50,000 will turn into in your lifetime. So let's go to the computer and prove this or disprove it. If it's happened before, it can happen again. It just takes a lot of work. Okay, this is my Excel spreadsheet. If you've been with me for some time, you've probably seen this before. What I did was basically, and I'll illustrate it in Apple. In 1982, they IPO'd. I said if I had put $10,000 in there and then never invested another penny in Apple, what would it be worth today? And it basically comes down that it's worth today about $14 million. I did the same thing then for Microsoft, Amazon, NVIDIA, Google, Facebook, and Tesla. And as you can see, I have tracked their returns on a year-to-year basis and suffered some pretty heavy results. The one I like to point to is Amazon that started out with a 967% increase in their price in 1998, and then had an 80% loss in 2000 and a 30% loss in 2001. And so your $151,000 turned into $21,000. That's That's proof of what's going on right now has happened before. And you can see each one of these stocks went through their history and what they came up with. 14 million for Apple, 26 million for Microsoft, 4 million for Amazon, 1.8 million for Nvidia, 150,000 for Google, 126,000 for Facebook, and in Tesla, $1.2 million. Actually, Facebook's down to 61,000 at this point. And what I want to point out is, they had some explosive years where they got tremendous results, but then they've all had some terrible years as we are experiencing right now. One of these that I want to point out, because I think it skews the picture, is that in 2020, with the advent of free money and funny money arriving in the hands of people who have never invested before, Tesla had a gain of 743%. I think that's unreal, and I think I would caution you on that. Nonetheless, if I take all 7 of these and I average their returns over their history, they have an average return of 52%. If I take Tesla out, and that's basically my premise, it's at 42%. So that's where we are there. Then what I want to do is share with you where I think this is going to happen again, and that's in the biotech field. This is the science that is going to change our world. This is the science that has been sped up as a result of the coronavirus, and these are the stocks that represent where I think the future is: CRISPR, Editas, Beam, Caribou, Intella. If you've been with me for some time, you know these stocks have just been beaten up, and they've been depressed, much as Amazon was depressed by 80% and then 30% back in the 2000s. They have fallen way out of favor. But I want you to look at what they've done this month. This last 30 days, up 15, up 47, up 76, up 35, up 50. The worm has turned. The world is going to risk. The world is recognizing this is the future. So then what I did was say, okay, if I invest these and put 50,000, 10,000 into each of the 5 stocks, and they achieve what these 7 stocks up here had done, my $50,000 is going to turn into, in 2045, 1,156,000. It will achieve the 47 million somewhere around 2039. If, though, I take Tesla out of the equation and bring the return down to 42% on this $50,000 investment, now rather than 1.15 billion, I have 225 million. I can deal with that. Now, this number here, this $104,600, represents what I have invested in these 5 stocks today. And I want to be open and transparent. This is something I'm betting on. And so, what is my bet? I want to then go and look and say, okay, if I've got 104,000, what's it going to turn into by 2046 if it gets the average of the 7 stocks that we discussed? I'm going to have, I believe that's $3.35 billion in 2046. Am I going to be alive in 2046? Probably not. But I probably will live to be 2030 or to 2030, where I'll have $12.2 million. What I then hope is that my heirs keep what I've invested in, follow the plan, and go to $3.3 billion. That's my proof of concept. All you have to do is buy into the science, and let's talk about that.
So do you think this biotech revolution will be as big in scope and impact as the digital revolution was?
Well, I think the biotech revolution is going to be 10 times more important than the digital revolution because it allows us to hack the code of life.
That was Walter Isaacson. If you don't know who Walter Isaacson is, Google him. He's a very famous author. He's written books on Steve Jobs, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, you name it, Leonardo da Vinci. He wrote this book. It is called The Code Breaker. This is the Bible of genome sequencing, genome editing, and the future of where we're going. I first became aware of the process of the science by a book called Lifespan. It's by David A. Sinclair, a PhD at Harvard. And then I went into Jennifer Doudna's book, The Crack in Creation. This is what lit me up to the solution for the diseases that we have in our body. These are the 10 videos that I've done, more than 10, but these are the most prominent of the 10 videos that I have done on CRISPR and the science. If you don't understand the science, I implore you to learn the science, to understand it, to educate yourself and see the potential for this. I compare this as if someone had come to you in 1986 and said, "What do you know about the World Wide Web?" And you said, "I know nothing about it." And they gave you a small description, as I have here, and then you dedicated yourself for the next 3 years to come to understand what the World Wide Web was going to be, and you found the name Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and then you followed the path I just showed you, you'd be worth $48 million today. If you could muster up $10,000 to put into this digital revolution. Well, we're going into the healthcare revolution, and it is going to be driven by the biotech, but helped by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then right behind that is coming quantum computing. And we are going to make this happen, and you have the opportunity, if you're willing to take it, if you're willing to learn, go into the description, learn books that you need to read, and order them. There's an affiliate link on each one of those books, The Code Breaker, Lifespan, and The Crack in Creation. You'll spend somewhere in the neighborhood of, I guess less than $100, but it could make you billions. But you need to understand the science and then understand where this is going and why it's so important, why it's so much more important than the internet or electric vehicles or the Green Society. This is what's going to save lives. And you have a very unique opportunity to invest in it. So that's what I'm all about. That's what I'm trying to teach my tribe, my group of people that come together and say, we believe in this. This is what I learned about it. This is what I know that supports or puts us in direction of the 5 companies. We've learned who the people are. We understand where they're going. And now we're just sitting back. And this month, in the last 30 days, it's starting to light up. I bought in strong. I bought in early. I'm the guy who bought Amazon, and now it's down 80%. But I don't care because I know this is going to happen. I know I'm right, and I'm ready to profit off of it. So, if you like this kind of video, if you want not to worry about inflation and recession, you can't stop this, okay? All right. Come to Best of Us Investors, join our Discord, join our community, and become a part of this movement because it is going to make billionaires out of some of you who have the one thing that I don't have on my side, and that's time. Talk to you again tomorrow.